Now at 4, we've got snow on the radar. We've got a couple of snow chances in the next 24 hours. I'll let you know what to expect.
Plus, another high school walkout. Our camera was there this afternoon as students protested against ICE.
13 News has learned that a 16-year-old already charged with murder is also suspected as the shooter in another homicide within months of each other.
Plus, a stunning trade deadline move by the Pacers today. Who the team has given up and who they're getting in return. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to 13 News at 4. I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence, and we start yet another school walkout. Students protesting how the federal government is handling its illegal immigration crackdown.
And today it was in Avon, and our Brandon Schaff was there.
As we've seen with students throughout the week at other schools, Avon High School is now getting involved in the conversation involving ICE, with hundreds of students walking out of school on Thursday, letting their voices be heard. Those students making a lap around Avon High School, using their signs and voices to protest ICE. Student organizers urged people to take action and speak up, voicing their concerns about what's happening in America right now.
Everybody needs to understand how deep that this situation really is. Nobody's really grasping the gravity of this. We really need to get ICE out.
This was the second attempt at a walkout at Avon. The previous one had only 3 people. This time, there were several hundred people.
For a while, we weren't sure how many people were going to be here, but when I went down to the main gym, it was just flooded with people. People cheering ICE out, people saying, convincing other people to come along and do what is right, and it's absolutely amazing that this is happening.
Brandon Schaff, 13 News.
The woman who helped create the Amber Alert system 30 years ago says Haley Busby's disappearance is highlighting a need to expand the Amber Alert criteria. So what exactly is that criteria? Well, an Amber Alert is for a child who police believe was abducted and they believe is in imminent danger of either serious injury or death. They also have to have enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction to send out that alert. So those are the guidelines really nationwide, but Carolyn Alvey, who helped create the Amber Alert, says some states have more flexibility to issue alerts than others. For example, Texas law allows police to issue one even if the criteria isn't fully verified. Alvey is calling on Indiana and other states to loosen their restrictions and give police some more options. She says it's all because technology has changed so much since Amber Alerts were created 30 years ago, and more kids are at risk with the internet.
All right, thanks to Jenna Webster there. And now, only on 13 News, a teen already charged with killing his barber is suspected of killing another man months earlier.
Rich Nye is breaking this story today and talking to the mother of the first man who was shot and killed. So sort this out for us, Rich.
All right, so 19-year-old Isaiah Booker was shot and killed. This happened on March 30th of last year. Booker's body was found near a dumpster on Shady Oak Drive. This is in the Carriage House East apartments on the Far East Side. His mother believes Booker got into a confrontation with someone he did not know while walking home on a Sunday morning. Sharia Booker tells me the police have video and other evidence that identifies Dominique Sherman as the shooter. Sherman was just 15 years old at that time. Sharia contacted me when she heard about Sherman's arrest last week for another murder. Sherman is charged with shooting and killing his barber, 35-year-old Stephen Coach. That was on November 8th of last year at 39th in Pennsylvania. Court records say that Coach had gone to the City View apartments to trade a watch for a gun from Sherman. In November, that happened back in November, and back then he was 16 years old. So this murder case was automatically waived to adult court. Now this is video from his initial court appearance last week in that case, and his trial is scheduled for March 23rd. So I want to stress that Sherman has not been charged in Isaiah Booker's homicide, but Sharia believes he will be charged soon, and I'm confident reporting that police believe this is their suspect and that Sherman is responsible for 2 killings last year.
And at such a young age. So what's the official police response?
So police say that they are still investigating. This is an open investigation. They're asking anyone with information to come forward. But I asked directly, do you have your suspect in custody? And they did not directly answer that question.
And again, we're talking about a suspect here who was 15, 16 years old.
Correct.
At the time. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, thank you. Today, we learned the potential motive behind the shooting of a Tippecanoe County judge and his wife. One of the 6 people arrested in this case, Thomas Moss, had been charged with several violent felonies and was out on bond at the time. 2 days before he was scheduled to go on trial in Judge Stephen Meyer's court, the judge and his wife were shot in their home in Lafayette. According to court documents, Raylan Ferguson, another one of the 6, admitted he was the shooter. According to police, he thought his friend, Moss, was going to spend life in prison, so Ferguson allegedly wanted to give Moss more time with his son. Those documents also say that Ferguson initially did not want to be a part of the plan, but went through with it anyway to clear a debt with Moss. It also says that Moss promised Ferguson a higher rank in their gang. 5 of the suspects are going to trial or scheduled to go to trial in May for the shooting. Judge Meyer and his wife survived and are recovering. Now to another case we're following very closely, the disappearance and death of Fisher's teen Haley Busby. Still so many questions surrounding what happened and who's responsible.
So though we have to let that investigation play out, we are still asking law enforcement how cases like this are treated. So here's something else the experts want you to know if you were ever to find your family in a scenario like this.
Having a digital picture available of your child that's recent. We all hate to take a picture of our kid that looks like they're standing in the driver's license branch, but if you can get that picture of their face, it makes it a lot easier for us to provide that out to the broadcasters, and then it's a clear picture. The other part that I think is super important is don't unplug anything in your house. All that electronic stuff you have in the house, keep it plugged in so that if that officers need to come in there and they need to look at it, they can do that. And don't go open your kids' social media and things like that. Let law enforcement do that, so that there's not a change in their digital footprint. That's really important in these investigations. A lot of times these kids will have a phone that a friend or another family member or someone else has given them. If they're logging in on that phone, we want to be able to see that and see those other digital footprints. So it's just really important that we keep that stuff plugged in and do not delay in calling 911 and getting those reports made.
So that is Angela Meacham right there, and she is with the Indiana Clearinghouse for Missing Children, Endangered Adults, and Veterans. And so she's saying that she went on to say that law enforcement won't issue alerts immediately for a variety of reasons, because a lot of people asked in the Haley Busby case, though she was missing at the top of January, why were we just hearing about it? Right. It didn't seem to get loud until about 3 weeks into January, and there was a reason for that. But one thing that does happen, authorities have 2 hours to get a missing person into a national database with law enforcement. So she was in that database according to law, is what we're being told. That she was in that database. So even if you don't necessarily see it happening outwardly, or you're like, well, what are the police doing? We should do more, and we should have our face plastered on billboards. Or whoever's face plastered on billboards. Even if you don't see it happening outwardly, it could still be things happening behind the scenes, was her point.
It's really interesting. As a parent, though, you're desperate to do whatever you can to get the word out.
And you hope, of course, you pray never to be in a situation like this, as I'm sure all families do, but you also kind of want to know what should be happening in a situation like this so that you can advocate best for yourself or your missing loved one.
All right. Well, thanks. That was a really interesting conversation. Appreciate you talking with her.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a check of the weather on this Thursday afternoon. Live look outside, and yuck.
Yeah.
Gloomy.
We've reached the gray snow part of the season, and I don't like it.
It's always so, I think it's always so nice in December and even in early January. There's just some, a magic to it. But then by February, it's
after MLK Day, we're done. So is this 3rd or 4th winter here?
Oh man, I feel like it's like 17th winter.
We haven't even had fake spring.
Yeah, that may be coming.
Okay.
That may be in the forecast. I don't know how fake it'll be, but it's certainly going to be a tease before we see the temperatures cool down. I do want to show you this. We've got some snow showing up on the radar, so let's get to that. It's not a lot. It's just some snow showers that are pushing through. A lot of this is a little farther to the north, but it may impact your drive depending upon where you're going to be. Most of these are moving from, say, Marion, maybe to the north side of, say, Carmel or Fishers right now. Getting in a little bit closer, you'll see that most of these have pushed on through without too much of a concern. A little farther to the north, and we could have a couple of those light snow showers impact us here, maybe up to Tipton, essentially 31 and north. That may have some light snow showers. Most of the roads have been treated. They have a little bit of brine on them or some salt, so it's not going to cause as much of a problem, but all it takes is a quick little burst burst of snow. Temperatures are into the 20s right now, maybe with some teens. It feels like it's into the single digits, though, in a couple of locations. And then through the next several hours, well, I was hoping that camera would come back, but it looks like our live camera there is still down. Temperatures into the 20s, maybe another chance for a light snow shower. But I do think we'll have a better chance for snow showers tomorrow, especially to the north. As this system begins to move in, you'll see it arrive sometime by around maybe 6 o'clock in the morning through about 7 o'clock. It may miss the main part of the morning commute, but it is still something we're watching, and we still have a chance for maybe about a half an inch to as much as an inch and a half or so. I don't think this locally 3 will adjust this map a little bit and get some new information in there for you. But I'll talk about more about this and that fake spring coming up.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. We certainly appreciate it. And of course, we got to cover the big news from the Pacers today.
We are learning about roster moves. To help us break down the details, we've got our pal Jake Query from 107.5 The Fan to help us out. Thank you, sir.
It is trade deadline day in the NBA, and you know what that means. It means sometimes you sit and wait and nothing happens with your teams, and other times, like today, your team is involved, and that is the case with the Pacers.
So help me out with the name here. We're getting
Ivica
Zubac.
Here's the thing. Do you know what New York, Chicago, Indianapolis now all have in common? We have 2 zoos now in Indianapolis, right? You got the one just west of downtown, and Ivica Zubac's the big center from the LA Clippers, whose nickname is Zoo, and that's what he goes by. But this is a dynamic player. 28 years old. He's in his 10th year in the NBA, and he's averaged a double-double this year in particular. 14.5 points, 10 rebounds per game. But the reality is this. Indiana was in the market for a long-term starting center since Miles Turner's departure to Milwaukee, and they found their guy in that man. But it does not come without cost, of course, because Benedict Mathurin, who is in his 5th year in the NBA, and as well 4th or 5th year, and Isaiah Jackson are the 2 players that Indiana is sending out. Mathurin is a guy that was a dynamic top 10 pick for the Pacers. Certainly can score the basketball, but I just think when it came down to it, they knew they had to get a center. They still have. Now, this is where it gets tricky, guys. The Pacers also, in addition to this, sent 2 future draft picks to the Clippers, and one of them is this year's draft pick, which the Pacers have. But if that is the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th pick in this year's draft, it's protected, meaning Indiana holds on to it. There are 4 very dynamic wing-type players that could replace Mathurin available in this year's draft. If Indiana's draft status falls in that top 4, they hold on to it, and then you've got a Mathurin replacement coming off the bench. But this adds bulk rebounding in terms of their front line at their center position.
And he's 28. I love that he's experienced, but also not considered an old guy for the league, which is really interesting.
It's a great point, Felicia, that you make, because the center position is one that I think if you ask most executives, they will tell you that center is the position that takes the longest to kind of get used to playing in the NBA. So if you're going to replace a center, you want to do it with a player who has experience as opposed to a draft pick that needs a couple of years. The Pacers' window is right now. Pascal Siakam's got 2 years left on this contract. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton comes back next year, and then you go beyond that. So you're really trying to fit it in with the window of when Halliburton's back to 100% and when Siakam's contract is coming up. Then you have Nesmith, Nembhard. They have their core now. So long as all these players stay healthy, Indiana has a very good chance. I think next year is a acclimation of Halliburton period. And then the season after that, I think, is when Indiana really pushes in and says, this is our chance to finish what we started in Oklahoma City.
Okay, we'll wait and look forward to it then.
All right, guys.
Jake, as always, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
And after the break, we're taking you to Milan, where Olympic competition is already underway.
So this right here means everything.
Bigger and better. The way an Indianapolis Community Center is expanding its help to locals in need. We'll take you inside. Rob?
I'll talk a little bit about the snow chances that we're going to have for tomorrow, but I'm really looking forward to the warmer days ahead. I'll show you when the temperatures could get to 50.